Here we go.
Okay. All right, everyone. So this is the first official Sarah's social sesh that has, I'm actually interviewing someone else and not just talking about myself or to myself. So I want everyone, this is Emily Byrd. She's actually my coach. And I brought her on because I really feel like she has some experiences and some wisdom and knowledge to share with both of our audiences. And I just thought it would be a great thing to bring her on and do the thing. So, Emily is a transformational coach and business mentor to coaches, healers, and high conscious humans. She's been founding and growing businesses for 10 years and uses both her experiential and natural savvy wisdom to help soul centered entrepreneurs and creatives build, launch, and grow their business to reach six figures and beyond, while facilitating the deep space of impactful, heart centered work, which is necessary for personal expansion and evolution as an entrepreneur. Absolutely. Amen. And Emily believes that your dreams matter, your gifts are inherent, and she does not want you to give up. She's dedicated her life's work to the empowerment of the highest light individually and collectively. So, after listening to all of this, if you feel inspired, you can seek Emily if you're looking to build a conscious, sustainable, and profitable business while experiencing next level transformation as a human and spiritual being. So, welcome, Emily.
Mm,
It's
thank
nice to have
you.
you.
Yes, as listening to you read my bio, and it's such a privilege to create the work that you want to do in the world. And it's also, I feel it's part of our responsibility to let our commitments call us forward.
Mhm.
That was a
Yes.
mouthful, everything you just said. And it was like highest light, committed to, elevating consciousness, basically. Like that's what I'm doing. And yes, we get to play in that realm and avenue of building a business by doing that, but it's so much more. It's so much more what we get to do as coaches, as healers, as teachers, as leaders, visionaries for the collective. And it's something that we just can't bypass. And our mission needs to call us forward. So,
Yes.
thank you for taking
Absolutely.
time to introduce me. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I love Sarah. She's been such an incredible client to have. And really, this is part, I would say, like product of your growth where we are right now, where we sit today, being on this interview, you really like stepping out and connecting with people and helping to amplify the higher voice. It's really beautiful to be part of this. So thank you
Yes,
for having me.
absolutely. And that's one of the great things about working together is I always had you like on Voxer or on our calls where I can just like float these ideas like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a interviewee, Sarah Social Sesh, what do you think? And then here we are, it's a beautiful thing to have that support. So thank you. Um, One thing I would like to get started with, um, so we know that you've been building businesses for a decade, right? Like you've been doing all the things. You were a yoga teacher, a hairstylist,
Mm,
and that we have had a talk about. Can you hear me?
mhm.
Okay. Something that we've talked about in our own like calls is when you're running a business and you hit rock bottom
Mhm.
and um, how that really feels. And when you're in that space, like what happens, So can you tell us a little bit about like your journey as a business owner, starting your own business and what that journey's kind of been like?
Yeah, I love this. And it's such a beautiful time for me in my life to be in this reflection. We are in Mercury retrograde after all. So it is good to have these reflective conversations.
Yes.
And it's been fun, crazy, wild, high and low over the past decade. And, you know, people step into entrepreneurship at in different spaces. I like my neighbor across the street has his MBA from Carolina, UNC, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He's an entrepreneur and he's starting a really cool business idea. I won't reveal it, but um, he'll have angel investors and startup capital that I did not have. My business experience, the approach, the entry point for me as an entrepreneur was very much like someone stepping out on her own and not having any formal training, have a psychology background from all women's liberal arts college here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live. And I took that experience and moved to Las Vegas in my early 20s, and I was a bartender on the Strip, and that was fun. My son was born in Las Vegas, and when I moved back home to North Carolina, I started doing hair. I went to the Cosmetology Institute, Aveda Institute, for cosmetology in Chapel Hill, and I became a hairdresser. And then about 3 years in, I wanted my own salon. I wanted to make my own schedule. I wanted to have my freedom. And I did that very easily. And so I want to share a moment with the audience as far as the beginning point of that journey for me. I remember specifically like where I was. It was summer, it was warm. I was riding in my car, the sunroof, the sun was coming down, and I was driving to the salon. My salon. I rented a space, like a room inside of a salon. It was like my first salon. And I remember had my weekly income goals, right? It was like make $1,000 per week. That's all I need in the salon, and I'll be okay after I pay rent and expenses. I'll have enough money to live. Like that.
Yes.
That was the business
That
plan.
was the goal. Yeah.
That was the profit plan. Make it work and survive. And
Yes.
I'm a single mom, so it's like not only feed me but feed my son as well. Not pay rent just for me but for my son as well. Like that, this was the entry point for me. So everyone has their different entry points. I want to clarify that because it's a thing. And it's really been a journey for me of growth and personal transformation. I've been able to use my business as a accountability partner basically in
Hmm.
my personal growth transformation, because if I don't grow and transform, then my business is going to ploop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So hairstylist, had my own salon. That was like a total of about 7 or 8 years of having my own salon space. And I also opened up a yoga studio in 2016, 2017. Yeah, it was 2016, end of 2016, early 2017, which I sold it later, 2 weeks before the pandemic hit, March 2020. And within my yoga studio, I had a team. I had yoga teachers that I actually trained and mentored through my registered yoga school. So I had a certification program as well. So the yoga studio had, it was both a school and a studio. And that I would say was my big step into really being a leader and seeing myself as leader, because I had a team, I had apprentices, I had work energy exchange, work trade folks. I had to give directions, we had to have SOPs, we had to have systems, we had to have policies,
Yes.
everyone had to learn how to sell. I mean, it's yoga, right? And so like my team, they were amazing little just yogi lights in the world, not little, bright, beautiful yogi lights in the world. And if any of them are listening to this, let's laugh together, because there were many moments where people didn't pay for yoga, and
Yeah.
intro offers didn't get upsold, and memberships were amiss, and people's payments information didn't get updated. And I was like, you guys, like, we are running a business, and it was yoga. And I just felt like my inexperience really coming through, and I was growing. Like it was such a polarity. Like there was so much polarity in that time, because I saw my own potential and how much I did know that I didn't realize I knew about
Mm-hmm.
sales, for example, but then also like not feeling completely in alignment, because it was yoga. I didn't want to stress anybody out. They love yoga.
Yeah.
That's why they're here. But also, like, we are not hitting the mark financially each month. And you guys are letting a lot of money walk out the door. And then it was like, is it a money? Is it money walking out the door, or is it a yogi walking out the door? And so for me, the business of yoga, it just, there was too many layers to it. And also I was like very deep into my anti-racism journey and just really understanding like, how we project biases and people and all of this. So I was like, oh, this is cultural appropriation. This is capitalism over an ancient spiritual practice. Like, I don't even want this business anymore. I'm done. I'm done. So I'm just going to sell it and let it go. My dad died in 2019, January 2019. I had no space to really grieve him. I had like 3 days, because I had two businesses, a school, teachers that I had to mentor. It was so much. So this is
So
the
you
rock
were still you were
bottom.
still doing hair while doing yoga?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
I held both businesses for multiple years,
Okay.
either like 2.5 to 3 years. Yeah. Yes, I
Okay.
did. And so, yeah, when dad died, I was at the height of burnout and hustle, the height of burnout and hustle, and had two businesses and had no space to really grieve his death. And this was like the the crescendo down into the belly of the beast, where I really had to examine and look at myself as a mom, as a daughter, as a human being, as a teacher, as a leader, as a business owner, as someone who was holding a bigger vision. I got really lit up teaching yoga. If I don't say so myself, I'm a pretty good yoga teacher, and I loved it. And I loved training the yoga teachers. I loved the facilitation and mentorship that happened within my registered yoga school. That lit me up. And so that was like the opening to, people started calling me coach. My students were calling me coach. My teachers on my team, they were like, you're the best life coach. You are my coach. Like, I was like, coach, I am teacher, I am.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, I'm not. This is not even yoga's not even mine. I'm a white Western woman. Again, like the whole conflict I was having with yoga as a
Right.
whole business. But yeah, seeing myself as leader and really coming into that, this was the opening for me to consider coach as a role. And yeah, so I decided to simplify life when dad passed. That was a whole like spiritual experience. If you've ever lost a parent, and parts of parent loss, even if, dad is still here. It's like, I know for you, your dad is still
Yeah.
here, but there is still sense of loss sometimes.
Yeah.
So, you know how um, deeply that experience is felt. So, yeah, I decided to simplify. I decided to retire from brick and mortar life. I really wanted freedom, like physically. I didn't want to have to be in a space working in my business all the time, which had been my experience as a hairdresser, salon owner, teacher, studio owner. I always had to be
Hmm.
there. So I wanted an online business. I wanted that physical freedom, and I wanted to pull all of my gifts together and this deeper vision that had been brooding. I wanted to pull it all together and create business from that. And this is the business that we stand in today. This is my
Hmm.
coaching business, and it's
Yeah.
been such a
3 years
ride.
later. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you were talking about hitting rock bottom, um, how did that, when you were feeling those feelings of like, wow, I'm
Mm-hmm.
working all the freaking time and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
single mom, my dad just passed away,
Yep.
and I'm not even feeling like yoga is aligned anymore because maybe
Yes.
it's not what I should be doing. So tell me a little bit more about that rock bottom though, of
Mm-hmm.
were you questioning all the things? I mean, what did you feel at that time? Did you ever consider going back and getting a job? Like what were your, or did you just think, I'm here at rock bottom. Maybe I'll go be a coach. Like what was going through your mind at that time? Because
I'm here at
running
rock
a coaching
bottom.
business. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
here at rock bottom, but yet I am enlightened. I will go do this now.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's that
Yeah.
simple. Yeah, this is such good inquiry, and I'm so glad I get to share this with those watching and listening. I like to say in 2019, because dad died in January, I like to say I spent the first 10 months of the year deciding what I was going to do
Yeah.
with my life. And so it was interesting because in October I of that year, I said to a fellow salon owner, Jen, across the hall, I had a salon suite at the time. And I was like, I want to sell my yoga studio. I feel settled. I knew in July, I knew in June 2019, I
Yeah.
was there, but like by October, I could speak it out loud.
Hmm.
And within 2 weeks, she came to me and she was like, I think I know someone. And I was like, okay. And 2 weeks later, I met with Allie. And 4 weeks later, top of December, we we were a go. December 2019. And so thus her takeover was 3 months later when the pandemic hit. But going back to the experience of those first 10 months of the year where I was
Yeah.
in deliberation of what am I doing? The experience really was like money was really hard because I had so much overhead with two businesses and being in burnout and being the service provider
Hmm.
of the businesses had to like I had other teachers, but really neither of my businesses at the time would have passed the bus test, you know.
What's the bus test?
Oh, the bus test. I figured you'd heard this because we've been in so many different entrepreneurial spaces. This is what I've heard in those groups. If a bus hits you, is
Yeah.
your business going to make it? Is your impact still going to be felt? Are you still going to like, is there something out there that will still create impact in the way that you want? So neither of my businesses would have been able to pass the bus test. Like awful, everything depended on me. Everything, it was so heavy. I had all of the responsibility. When you're actually like for real in burnout, it's a physical condition. And so I
Hmm.
lost a ton of weight. I was in hot yoga room all the time. I would forget to eat. My mind was fixated on so many other things. I had so many requests coming, so much volume, holding capacity every day, no break, no days off,
Hmm.
literally no days off. And so there was just like friends would come visit, people that hadn't been in the studio in a couple months would come and they were like, are you okay? And my dad had just died from cancer, like quickly, like we knew he was sick. And then a few months later, he was gone. And so then I had this paranoia, like, oh my God, I'm sick. Like I'm dying. Oh my God. Like, oh my gosh, like I can't keep
Yeah.
going like this. What am I gonna do? I was in so much fear and just like literally burnt out. No
Yeah.
better way to say it. And so I feel like it was a coming to my knees moment in my life where I knew it had to change. No doubt. This is not it. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing anymore. This is not it. I have to move on. I have to move forward with my life. This is where faith comes in. Did I ever
Hmm.
consider getting a job, going back to work? No, no, because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know that I can create success for myself. I've had enough experience of doing that I know I can do that. My learning, what I came to, and it was interesting because it happened in the year of 2020, where I did have an online business overnight. I was coaching people, but I saw trying to heal burnout as well as being in hustle still. I saw that behavior
Hmm.
for myself. Like I tried to heal my burnout, for example, by riding on my Peloton bike 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. More exercise, more physical extenuation, like not, 10-minute low impacts. We're talking like 45-minute hit and hills. Like I
Hmm.
was like,
Yeah.
this is great for my body. And I was also juicing and eating really well. Like I was doing other things in 2020 to try to like heal my physical body because I had just like ran it into the ground. with all the work. But that's when I really woke up to, okay, I want my coaching business to be different than any business I've ever built. I want there to be ease. I want there to be like legit strategy. I want to be really good at marketing and sales because, oh my God, I have to, because this is not a brick and mortar and people are not just coming in from my neighborhood who know me, hear about me, hear about the studio. Like I actually have to market my business. Okay, what's
Yes.
that? Let's learn, it was
Yeah.
like a lot of growth, and then I was just like, I love this is great. So that's been like kind of that. I stuck with it and I didn't give up. It's never been an option for me to not give up. And once I left the workforce of being an employee, I've never looked back. I will sacrifice before I do that, because I know, and I have, because I know that I am meant to be in my own independent channel of leader, of creator, of CEO, of, like I am to create business that can pass bus test, because my impact really does matter. And that's, I gotta be in that. Like I'm very set in that channel. It's, it's,
Hmm.
it's hard to describe any other way to describe it than just like, I'm fully committed. I ain't going nowhere,
Yeah. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I think like you got to have that. Like it needs to be part of your DNA, your personality, or you need to be like so connected to the divine where you're like, I will not falter. Um, or like entrepreneurship is going to be really hard for you because it's going to be so easy and natural, and you're going to want to give up. It's going to be so easy and natural to want to give up. And if you're in the conviction that I'm describing, with the impact and the call that you have to make and the lifestyle that you choose to live, the experience that you have on earth, it to be this way, like I'm in that conviction. So there is no
Hmm.
option. This will be what it will be. And if you're not in that conviction, I think it can be hard. And so really, like how I like to work with clients, I work with folks in the first few years of their business, because I want to help them wake up to that awareness of, I got to be really committed to this or else it's going to be hard and I'm going to probably
Hmm.
want to quit. And so how I do that is I like to, and you've experienced this because you've been working with me, we've been working together. I want to help my clients really get down to the core of their why and
Yeah.
purpose and calling and impact. And then I like to help them transform the blocks and the fears, of course, but create a powerful, unshakable, empowered belief system that really supports their progress moving forward. So they do have that unshakable faith to not give up. Because you read that in the last bit of my bio. I do not want you to give up, because you matter. If you have a call, if you have an impact, if you have gift, talent, wisdom to bring to collective to lift us all up, please, please do not give that up.
Yeah. Do the work, right?
Please, please, please do not give up on the medicine that you are here to bring now more than ever. We need to be
Hmm.
doing good work in the world. And here's where we can talk about the coaching industry a little bit, because, right, like I don't look at it as the coaching industry, and I don't necessarily look at it as an industry, but from obviously from business perspective, it is. But really, like, what are we doing in this space authentically?
Hmm. Hmm.
Authentically, I believe, and I'm a stand for us sharing wisdom. So it's the wisdom industry. And if it's not an industry, well, what is it? It's a movement. It's a
Hmm.
commitment forward. For so long it's been like religion and medicine, doctors, Western
Yes.
medicine. Those have been the leaders of the forefront, right? And so now you've got like this emergence of people like you and I and your listeners we are ready to change this world. I want my son to walk on a different sidewalk. I
Hmm.
want my descendants. I want to be a good ancestor. Like I want there to be resources. I want the weather, climate to be okay and safe. Like I want there to be water. I want there to be good land to live on for the rest of humanity. And it goes that deep. And so if you are connected to that as a desire that you want to help create uplifting energy, frequency, transformation on the planet, like don't give that up because we really need that. This is the healing.
Right. It starts with us like individually coming together. I think having our own wisdom and intuition, helping others with theirs, coming together, having that sort of community,
Mm-hmm.
and then going out and sharing it. And it does, I was just talking about this at dinner with the coach friends a couple nights ago. It does create ripple effects. Like,
Yes.
when you help someone, like I've said before, there's so many women in my life who have helped me change my beliefs and helped me, you know, go after my goals. They helped call me forward by them just showing up and doing what they want to do and, sharing their ideals and their views. And it's then that helps me help,
Mm-hmm.
it, it's a ripple effect for sure.
Yes.
And that's how we
Yes.
change, I think.
That's right. This is the elevation. Like this is how we connect to higher frequency. We become higher frequency. How do we become a higher frequency being? We start believing things differently. We start to view the world differently. We start to view ourselves differently. That's foundational to higher
Hmm.
frequency. And then then it's like, okay, well, how do I navigate this part of my life over here? Or how do I navigate my business? Or how do I navigate my relationship? How do I navigate going to the grocery store, being out in the world if not everyone is in this space of commitment, of awareness, like
So
do
what
I
would
have
you
a
say? What would you say to
yeah,
someone like that? Like if they're
yeah.
not in that space, or if they're, or how you'll feel so great when you're at home because you're just doing your thing and you're in your
Mm,
zone, and then you go out and it's like, well, shit.
yeah.
It's like it's like these things come back at you and you're like, all right. So what would you tell someone
Yeah.
if they're in that situation?
Yeah, like how to stay in your spirit, your center.
Hmm.
It's it's interesting that we get to do this, right? It's interesting that we get to navigate our lives. Sometimes I feel like what I've seen is in the beginning, entrepreneurship and or just doing your own deeply radically healing and transformational work, it can feel really lonely for people
Mm,
because others around them aren't there yet, or maybe they live in communities that are not super highly conscious. There's a lot of in the beginning, I feel like there's even I'm misunderstood by my siblings. Like there's that happens on the journey. And so yeah, I feel like it's all a choice. I can choose to drop back into old patterns, habits, paradigms,
hmm.
thoughts, words, conversations. Like I can choose that or I can choose what I'm waking up to, which is this higher way of being, embodied, whole, confident, worthy, happy, joyful, in gratitude, in appreciation. Like that's I don't want to be stressed out. I don't
Yeah.
I have a friend who's like 6 years younger than me, and they are like, when I look at where they are in their life right now, and they're an entrepreneur and they're like hustle hard, multiple businesses, I see them, I'm like, wow, that was me back then, I'm like, and and it's funny because they were trying to get on a call with me the other day and they're like, why does your phone go straight to voicemail during the day? Like, how do you run a business on a Wednesday and your phone just goes straight to voicemail? And I was like, well, first of all, under 100 people know that number because when I sold all my businesses, I changed my phone number. I created
Yes.
such a firm boundary. And also, my phone lives on do not disturb during the day. Do not disturb. And he's like, how do you run a business that way? And I'm like, oh, people don't call me. Like it's a boundary. So I really had to like learn new ways and lifestyles. And so I feel like that's, you got to create those energetic boundaries for yourself where like the world doesn't have all that access to you, or you don't give your power away in a awkward conversation, relationship with someone else. And then I'll end with, so have faith and like stay in your center. I will also end with, and this is with the more like long-term friends, family relationships. When you evolve, those around you evolve. Right. So when you evolve, your experience of life evolves and how you view the world and how you
Mm.
navigate and operate in the world. Relationships will evolve, your relationships will evolve. And then you get to discover how over time the people around you change, the situations change, and it may not really be what's changing. It could just be you. But this is the choice. This is the choice we get to navigate our 3D world from our 4 and 5D way of being in consciousness. And that's like really stepping out of the old patterns and paradigms and conditioning. And I want to live freely and joyfully, not stressed and in judgment and worried. Like that is, it's so petty. It's so petty for my spirit to be stressed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm put myself through stress anymore. That is petty for my spirit. And I am not going to do it. I'm not going to be stressed. I'm not going to be worried. Fuck that, like I'm going to be happy and joyful and free. That is what I'm going to be. Like I choose that.
Do you feel like you've had a natural inclination to that? Like, I feel like some people have a natural inclination to worry and stress, and some people are just more, free loving, and that's just how they are. Would you say that you have a natural inclination to that, or
Mm,
is it something that you've had to like really work on because you know
great
you got tired of
question.
worrying all the time? It
Great
is
question.
stressful.
Yeah. So I believe all of our natural state is one of peace, bliss, happiness, joy, freedom. And I believe your entry point in humanity is different because I was born of a lot more privilege than someone else, right? So we all have different entry points into this lifetime. And some of us are more naturally, predisposed to other types of, energy and emotion and experience. We also wear it on our backs. We are energetic beings, and the body can hold up to 7 lifetimes worth of, vibration, trauma passed down to you, epigenetics, right? So there's like a science component that I think is really fascinating when we talk about what folks are naturally prone to in an emotional space, which also translates into like their energy as a being, right? So I will give insight that as a baby, I was super happy. I was like really chill, really sweet. My brother, I love you, Colin. I love you so much. He's like three and a
I
half
feel
years
like something's
older.
coming here.
Something's coming. So my brother's 3.5 years older than me. And so he was the first child that my parents had, my mom and my dad. And my brother always was like fussy and he cried and he was colicky and he was just kind of like he'd throw temper tantrums. Like he's a Cancer son, bless him. He has like really complex, deep emotions, sweet baby. And then I came in and I was just like laughing all the time and always happy and took long naps and woke up happy and smiley and
Well, no
playful.
wonder. Yeah.
And my mom was like, I didn't know if something was wrong with Emily. I thought maybe she was maybe delayed or something, that she was so different than Colin, And I
Yeah.
was like, I love that story so much. So I feel like it's relative to this conversation, this question you just asked me. So I've always been naturally like more joyful and happy and in that freedom. But also I had to do a lot of work to release the conditioned response that I have to anxiety, stress, comparison, um, perfectionism, putting a lot of pressure on myself to do, to have, to be, to achieve, to go. Like
Hmm.
that was very much like a deep part of my identity and conditioning. And it's actually, I love this because recently I just started sharing about I've been very inward for the past, month and a half or so. And it's part of a longer story of what I've been going through over the past 2 years, really upgrading my identity and belief system as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's scaling her business online, having success. Like, ooh, I have to really update and upgrade my identity and my belief system in order to hold my success that I'm creating from an entirely new space, easeful, joyful, peaceful. This is different from all the other business experience I have. right? So I've really had to like commit to the upgrade from the inside out. And I've been doing that. And this culmination point has happened recently. And that's what I've been releasing, Sarah, that old conditioned response and persona of hustle, anxious, stressful, controlling, over over the moon perfectionism. Like I've had to
Mm-hmm.
really like release that, and I have released it, and I will continue to release it. But what I am awake to and what I've migrated and transitioned into is that higher trusting loving state of
Mm-hmm.
peace, of ease, of joy, of freedom. We already have that. I have it right now. It's not going away. I was born this way,
Yeah. Yeah.
literally. So were you. We were born this way, you know. So it's been, I love that business has provided me the space to really like evolve my consciousness as a human and spiritual being. It's amazing. And I want
Yes.
others to experience that, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. I literally just put something up yesterday on social saying that having a business is like the best personal growth journey
Mm-hmm.
because everything comes up.
Yes, all of
All of your
it.
shadow. Yes.
Yes, if you're ready to do the work, start a business and stay with it, stick to it, like be non-negotiable with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really something.
Yeah.
So if what I'm going to ask you one question and I'm going to go into how people can work with you. So if you were talking to someone and like a potential client maybe, and they were struggling to like find their true passion and purpose in life, like they're trying to figure out their why and what kind of impact they want to make. Um, what kind of advice would you give to those who are searching for that calling because they don't know what it is yet?
Mm-hmm.
um, and they're not sure. They maybe they have a business, maybe they don't. But I guess maybe in your since you do work with business owners, like
Mm-hmm.
what would you advise?
I would invite them to consider that they really truly do know what they want. And I would encourage and hold space for them to really trust the honesty that lives inside of them. And if someone finally said what they wanted to say, this is what I really want, I would offer space to explore why do I want that? Why do I want that? Why do I want that? Why do I want to have my own business? Because I won't have to go to my job. Okay, well, why is that important? Because I'm miserable there. Okay, well, why is it important that you're not miserable anymore? Because I want to love my life. I want to have freedom. Okay, why is that important? Because I want to take my kids on vacation and not worry about it. And I want to have money in the bank and I want to have a nice fucking couch for Christ's sake. Like, whatever. Like, okay, and why
Yes,
is that important? Like,
yeah,
let's get to the core. I hope I can cuss on this show. Sorry.
yes, absolutely. Yes,
First guest dropping the F bomb like nobody's business.
it won't be the last time. So go ahead.
Feel free to edit me, anyways.
No.
Um, but yeah, I feel like we actually do know what we want, and so really trust what you want would be the advice, and be willing to be radically honest with what you want. And then the other part to that, I would say, like once you get there and you're being radically honest with what you want and why you want it, then be willing to be a yes for it. Be willing to be a yes for your dream. Be willing to be a yes for your passion. It's not that people don't necessarily know what they want. It's that they're not fully a yes. And they're not fully a yes because they're scared. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're insecure. They doubt themselves. They're conditioned by every other stressor and societal structure that they've known their whole life. They're conditioned to not believe it's possible, or that it's too dangerous to do that, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is. So be radically honest with yourself, and then once you hold that truth, be willing to say yes to yourself. Be willing to
Mm-hmm.
believe in your dream.
Right.
Yeah. In
Absolutely.
regards to following passion and living that deeply aligned, purposeful life, that would be my courageous advice. It's very courageous, right?
Oh, it's super courageous.
Just say
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
go. Like,
Yeah. Figuring
whoa.
out what you really want and going after it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And just like you were saying earlier, too, is part of that is fully, and this, I think this takes work, is growing into the belief that you can have it. Because you can want
Yes.
something and you can have the why, you
Hmm.
can have all the things, but if you don't have the belief that you can actually have it, it's going to hold you back.
Yeah.
It's work that needs to be done.
And it's totally unconscious for
Hmm.
folks to not realize they don't believe in themselves fully. Until this inquiry is brought, most of us live in the blind. I did
Hmm.
not realize I didn't fully believe until it was shown. It was pointed out to me from someone else when I started really learning about neural pathways and rewiring the nervous system and the belief system and how our beliefs are at the top and they impact our behavior. There's emotions, there's thoughts as well. We can flip it and say thoughts happen first, thoughts create emotions, emotions create sensations in the body. We had sensations
Hmm.
before this call. Sensations
Yeah.
create sensations create story, right?
Hmm.
Story is belief. It's what we believe. It's what we tell ourselves to be true. My yoga teacher, who I trained with for 8 years and traveled the world with, grew on his team, like Baron Baptiste, my yoga dad. He says it so simply. What you say is so. What you say is so. If what you say is so, what are you saying? And if there's
Hmm.
one thing in the world, if there's one thing in the world that we can control, we cannot control a lot, but there's one thing that we have full, complete control over in our life as a human living. It's our words. What we say. What we say is so. So we don't know that we don't believe until this conversation hits or someone tells you, a mentor, a coach. This is why it's so important to have like someone else with you in the space, right?
Yeah.
We don't know until we know that, oh, we don't believe that yet. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't believe it yet, but I get to grow and build that belief. And if I don't, my business is gonna plop. Okay, I'll do
Hmm.
it. And then
Yeah.
as a result, what happens, what expands in my life? Everything, everything, because of an upgraded belief system.
Yes. And I think that's one thing too that is so important about coaching,
Mm-hmm.
that you can think these things or they're unconscious. You may not even realize how deep they are buried. But that when you are in a coaching session and someone starts asking you questions,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you get to the heart
Those
of the
questions.
matter. Yeah. And it's
Yep.
very powerful to have someone witness you and ask you these questions and hold that space and really see like what do you really believe is, I mean, it's way better obviously when you're face to face, but even on Voxer when we've had these talks,
Yeah.
you'll ask me questions about, well, do you really, do you believe that? And I'm like,
Do
it's very
I?
good. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like, do my
exactly.
actions
Do I
follow up
want
with
to?
my beliefs? Yes.
Do I want to believe that? I didn't know I believed that. I'm going to change that belief. Thank you very much.
And yeah, and you can have these unconscious beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not until you speak it and you're like, oh, now I see. I didn't even know that was there, but I literally just
Yeah.
said that, and now I know there's something that I need to work on inside because it just came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and
Mm-hmm.
that takes me to just sharing about like the mastermind and the coaching that I've had with you and the community. Um, I wanted to talk about it because I think it's a beautiful thing. For everyone listening, Emily has a 6 month, it's the Quantum Coach Mastermind.
That's right.
And yes, and I'm in it. And there's
Yes, you
several others in
are.
it. Yes. And it's a beautiful thing. I wanted her to share because I think masterminds and coaching are very important if you want to grow in your business. I feel like you have to have, I you have to have some community, and you have to have someone
Mm-hmm.
there to hold that space as you're building. Um, and I wrote down some things I wanted to make sure I mentioned, because being in the mastermind, like, you have community, you have accountability, you have support, you have the sharing of the ideas. You can also not feel alone. And I think that's huge when you're building a business, not feeling alone in that space, and knowing that the other people there has got your back. And another thing that's really beautiful that I've noticed, because I've had two coaches since I started my own coaching journey. And you're the second coach that I've hired. And what I have noticed is it's been good for me to see how you show up in your coaching space and how you facilitate things, because I may see someone else's coaching, or see how they interact with people. And then I can have this interaction with you and feel like, okay, well, Emily's showing up this way and this is supportive to me. So it just helps me also learn and teach, like when I
Mm-hmm.
have clients as well, like how I can show up how I want to show up, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's very important. So if you want to talk about the quantum coach
Yeah.
mastermind
Oh, yeah, of
and
course.
tell everybody like how they can be involved in what goes along with that.
Oh, I love this question, of course. Well, first of all, the Quantum Coach is it's a mastermind and it's my signature offer. So if you're a coach watching this, I believe in offer ascension in our business. I don't care how new at business you are. I believe we should have a diverse product suite. And so there's an intro offer in my product suite currently. And then the signature offer lives in the middle. And then there's a higher touch offer, which is my private one-on-one mentorship. So the Quantum Coach Mastermind is my signature offer. And if you're a coach watching this, I want you to create a signature offer.
Yes.
And that's actually like the energy of quantum is it helps folks in the 0 to 3. So if you're a coach in the 0 to 3, 0 to 3 years in your coaching business and 0 to 300K revenue, right? If you're in the 0 to 3 landmark, quantum is for you. It gives you the external tools, strategy, foundational business building blocks that you need for offer alignment, client detailing, personal branding, sales, creating an aligned marketing plan for yourself, having a built out sales process and journey, really understanding how to create leads, nurture them, invite them into working with you, and sell to them with authenticity. So you have this like external deep dive foundational, you're going to walk away with that. You're going to walk away with being a business owner, like knowing that you have a business and these are the important pieces of your coaching business right now that you need to have locked in. So you walk away with that. But quantum on the internal level, quantum holds the space for coaches to really step into that new persona of self where they are a successful business owner. They are making six figures. They believe that they're worthy, not only worthy of receiving the six figures, but they believe they can hold it, that they're a responsible
Yeah.
steward of it, that they can keep making more of it. And a lot of my folks in the beginning that it takes 4 to 6 months to just get the business built and off the ground. And, they've invested and they're like, okay, now what? But like, it's like, you got to hang in, you got to keep going. Now go do, now be in implementation and be in reflection, be in market research, be in refinement, because that's where you're at. This is the phase that you're in. So the first few years of any business is hard. It's hard and no one gets to skip steps. It's hard. No matter
Mm-hmm.
if you have angel investors or not, it's hard. And so I really like holding the space for people in that time because I know I've done it multiple times. I know how hard it is. I know how challenging it can be. I know how much it calls you forward, how much you have to shed old parts of self in order to really be who you want to be. I like holding that space for people. So quantum really gives you that on the internal level. It gives you the space to grow into the belief of yourself as a coach with a successful, profitable business. So that's what it
Yeah,
gives.
which
Yeah.
which is actually, yeah, you have to have that belief. You have to
Mm-hmm.
have it if you're going to do it. If you're going to
Yeah.
make
If
the
you're going to
impact and
like
create the
legit do
income,
it.
you have to believe in
Yep.
yourself. Yes.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful space that you hold. I just want to let everybody know it's a beautiful
Mm,
space. We
thank
have
you.
calls every week and they vary. You just,
Yeah.
it's a,
It's a
yeah.
nice diverse. It's like we have strategy and solutions. We have offer development and nurture conversion. That we have the marketing, messaging, and personal branding call. We have a co-working call. So we do have, and it's so
Hmm.
interesting. Like yesterday on our offer call, we didn't do offer work build out. I did this really cool. I guided them through this like visualization process where they really tapped into deeper beliefs. I told them they might fall asleep. Some of them did fall asleep, and it's all good because that's what you need, you know? So yeah, it's a cool space. I love it. I love the
Yes.
people in it.
I
Hmm.
really want to, I wanted to speak to that too, because Emily guided us through this beautiful, this beautiful space yesterday. And I wasn't feeling like that tired, but I was okay, let's do this. And I was just so relaxed.
Mm.
And I would hear you like speak in and out as I was just laying
Mhm.
there and relaxing. And I thought to myself, I feel like so relaxed, like I've taken a Xanax, but without like the side effects,
Spiritual
so you wake
Xanax.
up and you're groggy. Yeah, yeah.
I love
I was like,
it.
I was just so freaking real. Maybe I should say Valiant. I was so relaxed and it just felt so good to lay there.
Hmm.
And yeah, we were we were supposed to be doing the offer stuff, but still some good came out of it. And I feel like that's what I needed at that time. People get what
Yes.
they need in the moment, right?
Always. Always.
Yes.
And for me, I love having a group because as coach, like I get to witness eh, the parallel journeys that my clients are on. And so I came into that call or days before that call, I knew I had a sense, I had insight of what was needed. And it wasn't just needed for you, it was needed for everyone. And I also had an intuitive sense of who was going to fall asleep and who wasn't. And that's the yoga teacher in me, I guess. But I already kind of like had an idea of like who would process in the way that they did. And I would say that I was kind of right. I was pretty spot on with like everyone's reaction to it. And that tells me that like I know and I love my clients so much. And it's true. That's true. I do
I,
know and love my clients so much. It
yes. I've
was a cool
always felt that as
experience.
well. Yes.
Yes.
So you have a podcast. It's the Higher CEO Self
Yeah,
podcast.
that's it.
So I wanted to bring light to that. And where can people find you if they want to work with you or just check you out, see what's
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, find me on Facebook, and if you're not on Facebook, tough because we also have a really cool group on Facebook called the Higher CEO Self Community. It's a free Facebook group. Come in and join us and get uplifted. Instagram is the secondary platform, and yep, I go against the grain with that because I know a lot of coaches are on Instagram and they love Instagram. And for me, it was I had to pick one social platform to focus on at this time. And I chose Facebook because I can do long form content. I'm a writer and I get to build a group. So this is
yes.
how you can get in touch on social. You can send me a DM on Instagram and it's cool and we'll link it here, but it's at emily.mbyrd. And then on Facebook you can find me as well, Emily Byrd, and or join the Higher CEO Self community.
Yes. And I want to point out that Byrd is spelled Byrd.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
So, yes.
This has been
Okay.
so
So
great.
it has. And I have one more question and
Oh,
we
and my
will end
website.
because it's
Sorry. EmilyMBird.com. You can go to my website, read about my offers. It's current. And you can contact me through the website as well. EmilyMBird.com.
yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. My very last question, because I know we're at time. What is one book that you think everyone should read?
Mhm. Okay.
No
Perfectly
pressure.
Imperfect by Baron Baptiste.
Okay, I haven't read that one. So,
It's my
oh,
yoga teacher's book.
oh, nice. I didn't
Perfectly
know he had a book.
Imperfect. Oh yeah, he has many books. Being of Power is good as well, but everyone should read this. Also, The Four Agreements
No, yeah, I have read
on
that. That
Miguel
is good.
Ruiz. Yes,
Yes,
The Four Agreements is good as well.
yes, awesome. Well, thank you,
Thank
Emily,
you.
for being the first on Sarah's social session, being willing to do this experiment with me.
I would
I
never have
appreciate
said
you.
no. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you so much.
You too,
And
Sarah.
we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.